Welcome to the Handcuffs and Sawdust podcast, the show about life on the street as a beat cop and life in the shop as a woodworker. They pull no punches and tell it like it is, so buckle in and get ready. Now, here are your hosts from Marazzo Woodworking, Mike Marazzo
and Tits McGee.
Hey! That's not Tits McGee. I'm Mike Marazzo from the Marazzo Woodworking.
And I am Don Cann from the Dysfunctional Woodworker. Tits McGee is on vacation.
That's right. I don't know when she's coming back. She was replacing Brandon, who's also gone for a while. So I can't seem to get anybody to sit with me. So I'm having all these guests on with me, and I really appreciate you being here, Don.
Slackers.
I know. Don, this is episode 64 of the Handcuffs and Sawdust podcast.
Dude.
64. We're rolling, getting close.
Crazy.
You know, if you count all the pre-shows, which I do, Brandon doesn't. We're over 100, so that's pretty cool.
That is.
We are cool. We are in the Surf Prep Studios. I want to thank my sponsor, Surf Prep Sanding, at www.surfprepsanding.com for sponsoring us. They are great sponsors, and everyone gets a 10% off with the code BOOK'em. You don't even have to say Dano. It's just BOOK'em.
No, just BOOK'em.
And then for young people who don't know what BOOK'em Dano is, it's from the original Hawaii Five-O.
Original.
Not the new one that had a pretty long run for some reason. I tried watching it once.
Right.
I just couldn't get into it. I had to...
It wasn't close enough to the original.
No,
for me.
I grew up with the original, so that was as cheesy as it was in the 70s. It was still way better, I think, than what I was watching. Yeah,
right.
So some people are probably wondering if you're watching on YouTube's. I have an 80s style haircut going on. I don't know if it's much a haircut as a wig. I put a hat on over it. I got, what do you call these? Mullet. Right? Party in the front. Well,
yes.
Business in the front and party in the back.
No, business. Yeah, party in the
rear. Hello.
Okay, so retake.
And
no.
So I put the hat on, but I have to take it off. There we go.
What up, Garth? Party on, dude.
Party on, Wayne. Party on, Don. So yesterday, one of my very good friends, my buddy Frank DeSimone, who I work with at the police department, he turned 50 this past week. So his wife threw a 50th birthday party, 80s theme for the party. So he was confused because he was born in the 70s, and he was like, why aren't we doing a 70s themed party? But in any case, he dressed up as Jonathan Bender from the Breakfast Club. And
my God.
His son was, I think, Nicky Six from Motley Crue. He had had hair and a Motley Crue shirt on, and was walking around with a guitar.
Police line.
Yeah, because I sent you the
guitar
picture,
strap,
which I'll put in the YouTube broadcast right about here somewhere when I edit it. So that was
somewhere in this immediate vicinity.
And actually, I was wearing a red, white, and blue striped American flag like MC Hammer pants. And they were in the movie. The heck's the name of the movie? It takes place in the 70s with Tater Tots and Napoleon Dynamite, for goodness sakes.
Napoleon Dynamite.
I think his cousin goes to get karate lessons, and the karate instructor is wearing the pants that I had on. Not the same pair, obviously.
I was going to say that I don't know that I'd be happy about that.
Well, Kim's like, those look really comfortable. I'm like, they are. I might actually wear these someplace else. I don't know. I'm just laying around the house with them yesterday when I came home from the party. They're very comfortable.
Mike walks into the station.
Oh, I would love to on my last day.
With your gear belt.
May 1st. With the mullet and my duty belt.
And the mullet,
vest.
yeah. Oh my gosh, dude.
So This is episode 64. I'm wearing this wig for a few more minutes because it's really warm, and I'm going to take it off. And Don's here. I've known Don probably for 4 years minimum, if not 5.
It's been at least a few months, I'm sure.
Don and I, of course, met on Instagrams. He's one of my internet friends who has actually turned into be one of my very, very good friends whom I just happened to meet on the internet. Yeah. So good things happen with good people. And sometimes. And the last 2 years I've driven out by Don. Don lives out in Pennsylvania. Twice. Yeah, I've driven out there 2 times. We've had a lot of fun. We've worked in his shop, did all kinds of stuff, went sightseeing. We saw some carp that like ducks walk on top of. Where was that at? I forget the name of that place.
That was at Pymatuning.
Right.
Pymatuning Reservoir.
I can't pronounce that, so I'm just going to let you do
it. Drank water out of the side of the mountain.
I'm actually looking at the second bottle because I think I brought home 2 bottles from you, right?
Yeah.
I have half of a 5-gallon left, and that's it. I've been drinking a lot of it, so.
We got to get a pipeline set up.
I can't keep driving to Pennsylvania for water. No.
It
is fun though. So next year I'm bringing, or this year now because it's a new year. When I come out this fall, I'll be bringing 3 bottles back with me. Ooh. Yeah, Don and I we thought we had it. We filled these bottles. You go to this road and there's a mountain and there's a hose sticking out of it. And Don's like, "This is where we get our drinking water." I'm like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, try it." It's like coming out. It's ice cold. It's the best water I've ever had. So we filled up our bottles and we thought we secured them. We got back to his house and one of them had dumped out and spilled all over in an empty bottle. So we had to go back and get more.
Wash the bed of
my truck. Then Don took me to a drive-through liquor store. That was fun. I'm like, "There's no way I'm driving into this building." You're like, "Go in that door right there." I'm like, I'll go in the man door right to the right of the big overhead door. And you're like, "No, drive in. Trust me." And sure enough, we drove in and the guy's like, "Hey, what can I do for you?" I'm like, I don't know.
I need beer.
What do you want? Don said, "This is his first time here." And I'm like, I asked the guy, "Should I put it in park?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then I put it in park and then I shut my truck off and he goes, "Don't shut it off." And he goes, remember, he's like messing with me. That was then.
Yep. He's like, "No,
that was
just
fun."
kidding.
Then he brought out ice cold beer and put it in the back of the truck. And I'm like, "Wow." I brought that stuff home and gave it to my friend, my buddy Bill.
That was Yuengling?
That was Yuengling. I bought Yuengling Oktoberfest and then Yuengling Black and Tan and regular Yuengling Lager. Boy, that's hard to say.
That's a tongue twister.
So,
and if you have any people that you don't want to remain friends, you can get them some Iron City.
Oh yeah,
and
that's not good beer. Is it like Old Style? Worse than Old Style.
Oh my gosh, it's bad.
All right, well, remind me never to have some Iron City.
Yeah, don't drink Iron City beer.
Do they have any Oil City beer?
They do not.
Okay.
That I'm aware of. Now there is there's a new, what do you call it, a microbrewery. I don't drink anymore,
right?
So not familiar with. But one of the historic bank buildings downtown is being converted for multiple businesses, one of which is a microbrewery.
Oh, cool.
And so I don't know what they're going to call their brews, but they will be made.
So
right
Don
here.
lives in Oil City, Pennsylvania, and that's where Pennzoil started. And
that's right.
It's full of history, man. You brought me downtown, and we went to some really old buildings, and I absolutely loved it down there. And then driving along to Allegheny, right? It's the Allegheny?
Yes, sir. Allegheny, the Allegheny River, and Horse Creek, or not Horse Creek, Oil Creek. Sorry.
Just amazing in the evening with the sun setting over the mountains, driving along there. It's okay. I can edit that out.
Thank you. Just make it sound like a fart or something.
Or when I need one of those sound effects that goes, I don't have one. Or a horn. So, Don.
Yeah, because my mute button is way up here.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that. If you do this, I'll push your
No.
mute button.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
That'll work.
So Don, thanks for joining us.
Of
And
course.
if you could, for our listeners who don't know you, please, how'd you get started in woodworking? And what's your main focus or main interest of the stuff that you build? And where do you do that? And all that stuff.
Oh boy, you're getting into everything.
Yeah,
aren't
we'll
you?
be getting into your financials soon too. So go get your books.
Well, there was a guy broke into my house the other night, and he was looking around for money, so I got up and helped him look.
Nice. Wait, hold on. There we go. While you're talking, I'm going to take my wig off.
No, you go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and talk. Well, again, my name is Don Cann. Business is the Dysfunctional Woodworker, not just because of the method I use during my woodworking, but life in general for me is pretty dysfunctional. Speaking of dysfunctional, let's watch Mike put his hat on. There we go. He got it on. I started woodworking. What time is it now? No.
Nice.
I got into woodworking long time ago when I was a kid. I was always interested in it. And way back before epoxy became popular, there was, what was the name of that product? Envirotex, I believe is what it was called. It was like one of the first two-part epoxy pour things that you could buy. And I made a few things with that. And it just kind of remained a every now and again hobby, if you will, because my primary thing was blue or no collar work. It was always done a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I did bonds collection. I was a recovery driver. I ASE certified mechanic, and stupid disease got hold of my leg, made it to where I couldn't do a job anymore, and I needed something after I got past the initial onset of that to kind of make me feel like I hadn't completely lost my man card.
Yeah.
So, and maybe bring in a few bucks here and there since disability doesn't do anything. So I decided get back into woodworking, do stuff with my hands, and my initial forte was wooden flags, but that was completely unintentional. I made one. I put it, I think it was on Facebook. I just put a picture of it up on my personal page. And then I got a message from somebody that lives down near Pittsburgh. We want it. When can we be there to get it? I didn't put it up for sale. I was just like, hey, look what I made. And they showed up on their Harley dresser.
Nice.
Yeah, bought the flag, and they were going to stop at some friends. They were going to stop at a camp that some friends of theirs owns in a nearby town. Well, they ended up going home without the flag because the friends wanted it. So they bought it from me, went there to visit them, dropped off the flag because their friends wanted it, and went back home. And now they do have one. But, they told two friends, and they told two friends, and so on and so on. Yeah. And this one behind me on the wall actually is a client's flag. I put it up there so that I can get a decent picture of it. Pardon me. Oh, wait. I kind of lost my train of thought. I haven't really been in the wood shop so much over probably the last year, I'd say. Maybe a little more. A lot of health issues going on. Just the other day, had a heart procedure. Still kind of recovering from that. So I've been doing a lot of work with my laser because that doesn't entail me, yes, with my
Thank you.
laser. That doesn't entail me standing over a table saw, going up and down the stairs into the shop, things like that. And so I brought a couple small
Cool.
samples of just things that I've been messing with. Did up some bookmarks. I don't know how well you can see them.
Nice. Those are what kind of wood?
They are not.
Oh, they're not.
Believe it or not, that is a flexible plastic.
Awesome.
With a burl type finish. So I made up a couple of those. Started doing some smaller flags, like mini flags.
We got the ring light. Yeah, that's amazing. Is that just one piece of wood?
Yeah, that is a single piece.
Okay. And what's on the back? Because it's blurry for me, but it'll be in focus for the viewers.
It's actually the lyrics from Johnny Cash's Ragged Old Flag from May 6th of 74.
Love that. Did you burn that and then tape it off and then paint it and all that kind of stuff, or stain it?
No, what I did for this one was I taped the entire surface, and then I had the laser do the individual. Let me hold this other one up that isn't quite as reflective. I had the laser run the lines for the stripes, for the union, and outline each of the stars. Okay, so then the process goes, I take off the tape from the union, leaving the stars covered, right? Tape all the lines away, or just leave the tape on the line, Paint the union blue, then take the tape off of the stars. So now I've got a blue union with natural colored stars. Yeah. Let that dry for a couple days, and then I tape the union, peel the tape from what is now red, paint them, and then after that's dry, then I peel all of the stuff off, and then I hit it with a torch, some 220, and this one has not been engraved on the back yet. It will be essentially a twin to this one because this is a two-piece order for somebody that will be gifting these to family members in the military. Excuse me. And so the other thing I decided to try was Wii flags.
How small is that one? Like 3 by 1.5 or something?
That is tiny, tiny.
That's the palm of your hand.
This is, it's like, I think it's 4 wide by 2.5 tall. But even with the laser, I was still able to get the stars.
That's insane.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Well,
and
cool. Is that pine
I did this
select, or I can't tell?
No, this is it's one of the woods that you like working with. I'm having a brain fart
or
here.
Aspen? Okay.
Poplar. That's poplar.
It's a pretty popular piece of wood.
Yeah, it's a poplar wood. A lot of people like it. No, I was at the Big Orange. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going upstairs and make Daddy a peanut butter and Percocet sandwich, little mama. Anyway, did I say that in my out loud voice?
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Keep the Percocet coming.
Yeah. Anyway, I was at Big Orange. They had a bin of these sticks of poplar. They call them hobby boards, whatever. And I was like, I don't do a lot of work with poplar, so I'll give it a try. And I did, and it turned out pretty good. So I figured it would make a nice shelf sitter, something in the background. So we've got not so and friggin' huge. Let's see, what else have I been doing?
I gave I forwarded a customer to you.
Yeah. Oh, you did. Right. And doggone it.
That was a pretty cool idea.
I don't have anything on me to show. That was a phenomenal idea. So Mike referred a friend of his, a customer of his, to me that whose son is on a swim team for their school. And what she wanted was door hanger tags with the last name of the student that was going to be in that door when they go on the road and they have to get a hotel. That way they'd know who's supposed to be in that room. And so she ended up ordering, was it 32 of them? But the cool part for me, I was having some issues at that point. This was before my heart procedure. The cool part for me was she just wanted the pieces cut. She didn't need them painted. She didn't need them assembled. She just wanted the pieces. So I cut out 32 of these. It was essentially a rectangle with a 45 cut off of the two top corners.
Like an old toe tag or
like an old price tag. Yeah. And then a little hole up there where they would put a string through.
I went to toe tag because, police work.
Toe tag.
Price tag works, but toe tag also works if you've been to a morgue.
Yeah,
Been to a morgue way too many times. Toe tag.
Toe tag. So, so basically she wanted 32 of those, which I cut the tags out because they were, I think it was 8.5 by 5.5. I actually used the table saw to cut those out because that would have just taken forever on the laser. And then 32 of the school logos, which were, I think, 2.5 or 3 inches wide and about 2.5 high. And then 32 different last names, the longest of which was Roethlisberger.
Oh, like the quarterback from the Steelers.
Yes, exactly like that. So the name sizes varied because, you got Smith, which could be ginormous, or Roethlisberger, tiny, which is going to be
or wrap
smaller.
Around the back of the tag.
Arrow. Exactly. So I in the software, I did my best to kind of even them out so that they weren't too extremely different in size, So what I did in the design software was I took the longest name and figured out how long it would be to properly fit, still have a little bit of space on the ends, and I figured out the actual height of those letters. And then I took the shortest name, put it in place, figured out the height of those letters, divided it in half. That gave me a rough estimate.
3 times pi.
So, yeah, exactly.
They turned out awesome.
But she was very happy, lovely woman to work with. Very grateful for everything. It was kind of a rush order, and I in turn am very grateful to her and to you because that was one of the most fun orders, but also the biggest laser order that I've ever received.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I don't, I just look at my laser. It ain't working, so I can't do it. And I thought, you're the first guy that I thought of. So,
and we are going to rectify that very soon.
Wreck something.
We wrecked
Damn
them.
near killed them.
Damn near killed them.
This comedy hour brought to you by Surf Prep Sanding. When you're in need of sandpaper and laughs, look up surfprepsanding.com. Back to you, Don.
For 10% off.
That's right. Book them.
Code BOOK'em. A couple of the other random ideas that I've been kind of messing with. I don't know that I showed you these yet.
I believe you did. Oh, your QR codes. Facebook and the Gram.
Now these will be marketed to local businesses like restaurants, whatever. Connect with us, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Or if you would like to pay via QR code.
Nice.
Okay.
I like it.
And now those two are both on what started life as with me as Rough Cut Walnut. And then I decided to see how it would look on pine.
Oh, what's that? Stalk us here.
Yes. I always try and throw some humor in there. So if somebody does a pause on that and happens to scan these will take you to my pages. And if you want to throw money my way, those are actually my payment. So, but those were just experiments. Just tinkering around with it to see how it would look, how scannable it would be, things like that. And the other thing that I brought out here, I don't know that I showed you this. There's an old style, I don't know what I can actually say on Facebook. It's a cordless hole puncher.
Hold on.
Can you?
A cordless hole puncher.
Yes.
Okay.
Pew pew.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
Can you say?
I don't know what you can say,
what you can't say.
I'm not licensed, or I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got a replica of an old Colt single action Army in 357 mag. And I decided.
Hold on.
That I was going to put.
Oh.
I don't know how well that's going to show up.
Good on the broadcast. Lamentation?
It says Lamentations 357. Okay.
Chapter
for the
verse.
357. And the verse on the back, which you probably can't see yet, but I will read it to you. It says, "You drew near on the day I called on you and said, 'Do not fear.'"
Cool.
So that is about a 1/16 of an inch deep on these walnut grips.
So you took the grip off the Colt and able to. Now it's contoured. So how did that work?
That was my biggest question, was how well it would work, because I don't have any type of a rotary, whatever you want to call it.
Some people call it a rotary. Some people call it a spinner.
Some people call it a lift. Spinner majigger. That would be the technical term. But all I did was I actually used some bubble wrap.
Look at you.
Down on the bottom, because I'm not going all the way through, to make sure that this was level. And yes, I used a miniature level on there to make sure that it was. And then I set my laser height from the highest point, because it does it goes down a little bit here and it bumps up towards the base of the grip. And I just said, you know what? If I mess it up, I'll either make another one or buy another one.
Yeah.
No
worries. Those
of
you that are listening,
and
you have to get to the YouTubes to check this out, because this is really cool.
Yeah. I ran it. It came out beautiful. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this off, and I'm going to do a sparkle. I'm going to do an epoxy fill with black glitter color added to it in the engravings, since it's so deep. Yeah, so that was me just kind of tinkering around. And the other thing, I lied. That wasn't the last thing. This will be the last thing for right now. For years, I've had these really weird ideas for the business. Number one, I don't sell a lot, for whatever reason. I can't seem to get sales. But I saw where there was a book available. And hopefully this doesn't offend anybody. Actually, I don't even care if it does, because I got to talk about it. I saw these books were available for free for the asking, called The Life and Teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. Okay. Now they're just little kind of leatherette books. And I went online. I asked for a couple dozen copies from plusnothing.com.
Okay.
They don't charge for shipping. They don't charge for the books.
Okay.
Nada. And basically what this is, it's not a Bible. It's pretty much all of the accounts and teaching of Jesus' life as told in the 4 Gospels of the Bible, but in one story form.
Okay.
So it is quoted from the Bible. This is not, something that somebody just wrote up willy-nilly. But what I did was I ordered a bunch of them and I'm giving them
Oh,
away.
nice.
Now, I'm not just giving them away. This is my personal
Cann
copy.
man. Nice.
And that cross is the tattoo that's on my left
Okay.
leg. But I'm doing the laser personalizations for nothing. Whatever people want on there, I'm running it through the
Okay.
laser, no charge. The only thing I ask, because I'm so poor I can't afford to pay attention, is if somebody wants one, thank you very much. If somebody wants one, all I ask is pay for me to
That's
ship it to you.
pretty fair.
That's it. At actual
Right.
cost, I don't inflate anything. I use pirate ship,
Mm-hmm.
So average shipping for one of these, I think it was about
Yeah,
$4
that sounds about right.
to get it, it
Okay.
shipped to you. And they went, like the ones that I had ordered went. So I got back a hold of Plus Nothing and said, I need more. And they sent me 2 cases.
Wow.
So I've got 2 cases, well, less than 2 cases because I've already shipped out more. Some of them are actually going to be going to, I believe it's Argentina. And they weren't
Okay.
personalized, but they did have different cross designs put on the
Okay.
front. And for those that might be interested, I do not put my logo on the back here. On the ones that go out to other
Yeah.
people, in very small letters on the bottom on the back, it just says engraving by the Dysfunctional Woodworker.
Okay.
That's it.
Nice.
So I get 0 out of this,
Well,
except knowing that I'm
right.
doing the work I'm supposed to be doing by spreading
Right.
the word.
So
That's
that's
it.
awesome.
Unless somebody wants to make donations, which I do accept, and I have had 2 people make donations so that I was able to ship some out free of charge, that the people
Wow.
didn't have to pay me
Okay.
shipping. So, yeah.
That's awesome, Don.
So, thanks,
Yeah.
man.
So why don't you tell everyone how you got your new shop? I found that story is amazing, and I think it needs to be heard.
It it is truly amazing. So, doggone it, now you're going to get me all
It's okay.
emotional. Um, no, it's not.
Stop
Anyway,
it.
uh, stop. So on TikTok, which I haven't been on there in ages, it's a long story. It's got nothing to do with the shop. I was part of a group called TWIS, TWIS, and that stood for Turning Wood into Smiles. There were woodworkers that we would make and donate things to be auctioned off to raise funds for families in need, kids with medical bills, whatever. And we would just have like online auctions in a TikTok live. And this family, unbeknownst to me, uh, they decided to get some things together on their own accord and bring them to me. Uh, there was a recliner that they brought, brand new one, because mine had broken, and I just happened to share how I had fixed it with some drywall screws and stuff, and it was still working. Apparently, not good enough. So, but they blessed me with several very large, very expensive items. I'm going to try and remember everything. So we got the recliner, beautiful reclining chair, a gas cooktop because my stove kept setting off the carbon monoxide alarm at the far other end of the house, a water softener system because I couldn't even use my well water. It was bad, like looked like a scene from Dexter in the shower. Uh, um, oh mercy, there was so much, and they actually came out here because they know that I'm differently abled. I have issues moving sometimes. Long story. And they helped clean up and organize my living room. Actually brought a television with them and put that in there. And so that's all leading up to what they were going to try to surprise me with, because my wood shop was down in the basement. Now there's 13 steps to get down there from up here. I've ridden the stairs more than I've walked them down.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, right. Because my legs messed up. Anyway, and the other issue was it's a wet basement. So rains out there, wet down there, wet woodwork.
Not great.
Not the best combination. And this guy, depending on which side of the screen I'm on when he's done editing, this guy comes through with this ginormous dehumidifier for me during one of his visits, surprises me with that. And that made a huge difference down there as far as moisture content in the air. I mean, I cannot thank you enough for that. But it was still very difficult for me to get up and
dangerous.
down the stairs. Well, yeah. It was exciting, though.
Hey, living on the edge,
I still think
Jerry.
I should have had a body cam. Yeah. I should have had a vest with a body cam at some point, because I know I could have made money off of those videos.
Funniest home videos.
That's right. So the Twist family decided they were going to, trying to remember what it was called, Project Santa, I believe is what it was, with multiple people who I can't even begin to remember everyone. I am so grateful for them. Don't get me wrong. But unfortunately, this silly disease also eats away my memory. Well, plus the fact I'm old. I mean, I've got an autographed copy of the Bible. Give me a break. So, thank you. All these people got together over a period of time and kept raising funds, and they bought me an Amish-built 12-foot by 24-foot shed, essentially, with a red roof, and I got double doors on one end with no man door. Well, the reason that they did that, not only to...
door.
Yes, it is.
Sorry. Nowadays, I just couldn't pass that one up.
Where's the drum roll?
There we go.
That's the one. Okay. So the reason they got that particular size is for the previous, was it 3 years, I think? I had been very slowly, because doing it by myself with available funds, building a workshop. I had drilled 12 holes, 3 feet deep, 16 inches in diameter, filled them with concrete, put posts on there, laid out a flooring frame, and then my Amish lumber supplier decided they weren't going to supply lumber anymore. So it stayed like that for ages. Well, what felt like ages. So they bought this shed, 12 by 24. People brought it out. It slid right onto the base. And now that's the new workshop. I'm still in process. Like, I have to run electric out to it. I got one extension cord that runs out there. Keeps blowing the breaker. So, because when
you can have the dust collector and the saw going at the same time.
Can't do that. And even now, I think the breaker has gotten weaker. If they do that, I don't know. But now, when I run the table saw, I have to unplug the LED light. I can't run the dust collector, and I have to let the table saw run for about 30 seconds before I can start feeding anything into it.
Draw more.
Otherwise, otherwise it'll blow the breaker. Then I have to walk into the house, ride the stairs down to the basement, flip the switch, and then back up again. You know, it gets awkward. So I've still got to do electric. I've got the insulation panels in there for doing the ceiling, but with the heart issues I've been having, I didn't get any of them put up over this winter. And some local people, I've been so blessed. Some local people actually blessed me with the Christmas gift of a portable diesel heater for working there, so I didn't have to worry about how I was going to put in a wood burner.
Yeah, because that was the plan. It was going to be in the back corner, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, a double 55-gallon drum wood burner. And these people blessed me with this little, I think it holds 3 or 5 gallons of diesel. And it just blows hot air, thermostatically controlled, put the exhaust out.
That's awesome.
But I was pretty much down this winter. I really didn't do anything out in the workshop. I feel bad about it because these people went out of their way to buy me that heater.
They didn't buy it for you only to use this year, Don, right? So
right.
You will use it.
I just look. Yeah. You know me.
I know.
So I've just been blessed right and left. I mean, people ask me, how can you live with this disease? Actually, I should say it so more people will look into it.
I was going to ask you to tell us. I know what it is, but I'd like everyone else to know.
Right. Okay. I'm going to try and nutshell it as best I can. Please Google it, or actually, I will send Mike. I'll send you a link
in the description
if you wouldn't mind putting it in the description. And the reason I want everybody to know about this, and I want y'all to hear this, it can happen to anyone at any age, at any time, and for any reason. Okay? So, like for me, there was no cause. It just happened. For other people, I've heard of it actually occurring from a mosquito bite. Yeah. I mean, literally anything. So, it's called CRPS, Complex Regional Pain Syndrome. It's also referred to as RSD, which is reflex sympathetic dystrophy. Basically, for me personally, there is a piece of a nerve fiber somewhere in my body. They haven't been able to pinpoint it. And yes, we've been through all the tests, believe me. Somewhere in my body, that piece of a nerve fiber believes that my right leg is on fire. So it literally sends the same pain signals to the body as it would if my leg were actually on fire 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never stops, period. Excuse me. If someone does get CRPS and it's accurately diagnosed within the first 6 months, if they get the proper treatment, there is a real good chance of complete remission. Okay. After 6 months, it's hung up its mother's picture. It's got its feet up on the sofa. It's made itself at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it lives in Cook County and you can't get it evicted.
You can't get it. Yeah, you can't get it.
Nope.
Nothing. You get nothing to do with it. There are treatments. There are therapies. I personally have tried just about everything and nothing works. So it doesn't stay where it is. Mine started out a spot about yay big around on my upper right thigh, and now it's got my entire right leg, across the buttocks, partway down the back of the left leg. It's in both shoulders, halfway up my back, and in both hands. And it'll keep spreading until eventually it's got everything, both inside and outside. But the thing that really breaks my heart is this is a disease of exclusion. There's no test that somebody can give you and they would say, oh yeah, you definitely got CRPS. No, they have to get rid of all the other possibilities. Then what you're left with is CRPS. Exactly. But what breaks my heart is when children as young as 4 get this disease, nobody believes them because it can't be tested. There's no, your head doesn't swell up the size of a basketball. Right. There's no obvious signs. Sometimes there is redness and swelling that goes along with it. My leg in particular does get beet red sometimes, not all the time. If you hit my bare legs with a laser thermometer, the right leg is always between 20 and 30 degrees hotter than the left leg.
Wow.
Yeah, because the brain actually, I don't know how you would say that. If the brain believes it, it'll make it happen. If that makes sense. I don't know how to put that. But what I was getting at is children are often thought to be seeking attention, or they just don't want to go to school, or whatever. And these kids are literally burning from the inside out. And it just breaks my heart that there isn't more research. There isn't more knowledge. People don't know more about this. They call it the suicide disease for a reason, because there is no cure. And a lot of people, instead of feeling like somebody set you on fire and try and go about your day with nobody believing you, they just opt to check out early. Is
there a foundation that is spearheading research for this that someone can donate to if they wish to?
There are several foundations. It seems to me like it gets more attention in the UK than it does here. There are a few foundations in the US. I'll send you some links. There is one that, okay, I'm having a brain fart.
Because that happens with this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because eventually what happens, CRPS patients don't enter REM sleep because your brain is always processing pain.
It's never
so your brain never rests. No, never. And eventually the brain starts eating itself away. And generally speaking, one of the first things to go is memory.
Right.
And I've experienced that tremendously. I'm not going to get into it, but I've met a lot of my family members that I've known for years for the first time.
Yeah.
It's something warriors. I'll get you the link. I apologize, I can't remember, but basically they send care packages to children that have this.
Man.
Yeah. And they do like soft blankets, just it's an amazing foundation. When Amazon used to donate portions of the proceeds from your purchases to different organizations, Ferocious Fighters, that's what it's called, Ferocious Fighters. That was where I had them sending my extras.
Yeah.
But I'll get you some links,
I'll put them in the description
for people that might be interested.
Yes, please.
Okay. And for me, I'm an old fart. I've been around a long time. I remember when the Dead Sea was just feeling sick. I thank you. I know that I'm, with the exception of God pulling a miracle for me, which I do not put past him. But I don't foresee myself ever not having this. And now that my doctor has shut off my pain meds because of this opioid crisis, air quotes, I have no access to pain meds, no therapies work. I've got non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, so I can't take a shot of tequila. So I'm pretty much left with prayer, which is the strongest tool that I have in my arsenal. But at the same time,
it doesn't really,
it doesn't always take the edge off.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of days when even the wind from a ceiling fan, if I were walking in shorts, it would just feel like somebody's taking a blowtorch to my leg.
Just hypersensitivity, to all your nerves.
Oh, yeah. Yes. At night, I can't even let a sheet lay on top of my leg.
Let alone a prostitute.
Because, oh my goodness.
Right.
No. especially with those nails. Have you seen
Crazy.
those nails?
Some of them like wrapping.
How can you do
I
it?
don't
Oh
get
my
it.
gosh.
Anyways, sorry. The one thing
Can we do a
there we
fist
go.
bump on the
One thing
okay.
I love about my good friend Don, who is battling this disease every day. Don, it has never. You don't let it overtake your mind to where you can't laugh. You know, you're one of the most amazing humans I know that in the face of adversity just goes, F it. This is what I'm going through. And you laugh at it because at this point, you know, you've tried everything else.
What else?
Right.
Yeah. What else can you do? I mean, you can't take life too seriously. You'll never get out of it alive.
See, every time I talk to Don.
I'm sorry.
Every time I talk to Don, we laugh. No matter what's going on in our lives, we can. And you've taught me, Don, a lot about your outlook on stuff, and it has permeated over to me. And I try not to take too many things too seriously, no matter how grim they may be. And I'm not even facing anything like you, but it helps to have the attitude that you have. It has to. And
I am not going to lie. There are times that this just knocks me down completely. I mean, I try to stay off of social media when that happens, but my faith wavers a lot. I get angry at God quite often, but I'm very grateful for his grace, and he knows my heart. He knows where I'm at. Okay, this is hard to admit publicly.
That's right. There's only like 12 people listening, so it's just like telling the neighbor.
There have been many times where I stared down the end of that 1911 because sorry, freaking allergies are acting up.
Don't be sorry.
When you're faced with something that even the doctors don't want to address, they just want to throw meds at you. And then I had told you, Mike, recently about contacting my doctor. Since they cut me off of my pain meds completely, I've been losing mobility very quickly in my leg. I was in a power chair years back, and so I think I told my doctor, go ahead and order another power chair. Guess what my insurance company won't cover?
Power chair?
Just found that out yesterday.
There's a kick in the balls.
Yeah, so we're not going to give you pain meds so you can get around on your own. But the only way
tried crawling?
They will approve, that's about the only way they will approve it. What they said is if you can be mobile, well, here's the first kicker. They only cover the inside of your home. So anything outside of your home, they don't care if you can get around or not. So they won't cover like a power chair or a scooter that is set up for outdoor use. They won't even think about starting to cover that. The only way they will cover one for in your home is if you, cannot get around with the assistance of a cane or a walker or a manual wheelchair. Well, I mean, we've discussed this. I've had both of my rotators rebuilt twice. I can't do.
That doesn't work.
Can you imagine doing that?
God, no.
Trying to get. And so, can I get around the house with a cane? Yeah. Do I still fall a lot? Yeah, I test gravity all the time. It still works, trust me. But they won't cover that.
Man.
So it just gets so frustrating that, I can see why they call it the suicide disease. However, to ease anybody's mind that might actually care, like I know you do, I made my sister a promise years ago that I would not do that. And that is why I haven't.
Because you're
And
the
I
man of your
won't.
word.
The thought still happens, believe you me. But, and the closest I've come, I should share this just real quick because I've been
We
ranting.
don't have a time limit, dude. I'm the producer and the director.
Well, are you ready with the drum roll button?
It.
Because I am a charter member of the 12-step program for people that talk too much. It's called On and On and On.
There we go.
Anyway.
Thanks for the cue.
So, there you go. People have asked me, what does it feel like? Mm-hmm. Okay. There's two ways. One you could actually do yourself. The other I wouldn't recommend. So the one you can do yourself is get a big bowl or an ice chest, a cooler, fill it with water, right? Put as much ice as you can in there. Let it get really super cold. Stick your hand down in there until you can't stand it anymore and leave it there. Don't take it out. That's one way to describe how it feels because it's so cold it feels like it's burning. The other way, and this is actually a little more descriptively appropriate to what I feel.
But don't do it.
When you're right, no, don't do this. Don't do this at home, kids. It's not happy. When you're in the commode, you're sitting there for too long, your leg falls asleep. Okay, keep sitting there until you don't think it can fall asleep any more than what it has. Now, you know how happy that feels when you got to get up and walk. Now, soak it in gasoline and light it on fire, and then go about your day, but keep a smile on your face and don't ever let that fire go out and don't let the leg wake up.
And that's what you have every day.
That is exactly how it feels 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, I will.
Yeah, it's happy.
I will put all the links that you send me in the description on YouTube and on the regular podcast platform. Nice catch.
Okay, thank you.
So if anybody is interested to learn more and to look into this disease and maybe even donate, just follow the links I provide. It'll be great.
At the very least, research it because if someone you love gets this, as much pain as I know I'm in, my ex, it cost me my marriage, not going to lie, because I didn't know how to handle things. The worst pain isn't necessarily what I'm feeling, but for someone that you love so much to be in so much pain and not be able to help them, that has to hurt even worse. So I don't blame my ex for bailing. That's get out. And that's why I'm celibate. I'm single. I'm not looking because I don't want to subject somebody else to living with this. But I'm losing my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say that was actually pretty important, but that's okay. Apparently it wasn't, so we can move on.
You can blurt it out while we're talking.
I probably will. I'll be like, oh, yeah.
Just put your hand up, and then I'll go, Don, and then you tell me what you want to say.
Gotcha.
So
that's that.
I really appreciate you letting people know what this is about because it is a big part of you. And I understand it as your friend, and I pray for you every day, and I'm always wondering what you're going through every day, and we talk a couple times a week, but
Yep. And I am so grateful for you and your prayers.
Ditto, brother. I look forward to my next visit. Well, we might have a few more shop projects in your shop to get finished for you while I'm there. So we'll get you ready for next winter, this fall.
Yes, sir.
We'll get all that done. So a couple things I wanted to address. That last week on the show, I had Dylan Sands on, and I was telling a story.
Good show, by the way.
I was telling a story of us at Workbench Con, and I made a mention of two highly intoxicated women that were with us. But I I had not yet spoken to them and asked them if I could say their names on the podcast. And I don't like to just throw names out there if I don't, know if they have the permission. So one of the listeners, Michele Peterson from Michele Peterson Designs, she texted me and said she listened to the show and she thought it was pretty funny that I referenced two drunk chicks, and she knew it was all in fun. And I just wanted to say that it was Michele Peterson from Michele Peterson Designs, and the other woman that we were with was Ashley Reed from Wild and Free Wood Designs, and they were so much fun. Michele was the lesser; she wasn't drunk. If you're going to be honest, we were all feeling great, and Michele was not wrecked beyond belief at all. It was Ashley who was getting us our Uber and volunteered us to get into a stranger's car. Maybe alcohol didn't have anything to do with it. I don't know. But she might just be a really trusting person. So
Right.
It was, anyways, just wanted to say Michele and Ashley's name. So check them out. Give them a follow. They do fantastic work. And you can find them on Instagram. And then since you told me what you're working on, I am in the middle.
What are you working on?
I'm working on a whole bunch, Don. Thank you. Last week, I have a couple gripes I had mentioned to you. So first of all, I got a big order for 15 flags on Etsy.
Right.
So 14 countries, and then it would be 15 countries, but 14 other countries, and then ours. So this company is going to have a large American flag, the regular size that I do, and then it'll be surrounded by smaller flags from all these other nations, which is really cool. I've done a few of the flags that they're asking for me to do, but I've never done the majority of them. So I got that going on. I got all my wood and I cut them all down to size. I kind of made a mistake. So she wants these small flags to be 20 by 11. So I have a jointer that's currently got 1,200 pounds of wood stacked on it because I'm fighting with the fence and I can't get the fence to be square, so I don't use it.
Oh no.
So instead of milling down the, 100 board feet of poplar, rough sawn poplar. I can hear your mouse clicks, by the way. Instead of milling down this lumber I have, I go to Menards and I buy their 4-sided poplar. It's the best I found. It's way better than Home Depot. It's reasonably priced. But anyway, so I went and got the wood. If you buy a 1 by 12 by 8, I get one large flag out of that. Okay. And then the leftover piece is normally 11 1/4 by 23 ish, 24. So I bought a couple boards and I cut them down to 20 by 11 1/4. Now I still have to run them through the table saw to make them 11 inches, but she wants these painted. They're not going to be stained. So paint like Krylon or whatever the other brand is I use. So paint. Now, when I made the Mexico flag years ago, I made it the original width plus 1/4 inch. So then I can cut 2 cuts in it, which would be the 2 red pieces and then the white piece. And the blade kerf is 1/8 of an inch. So I made it 1/4 of an inch bigger. So when I glue it back together, it has sharp paint lines and it's the size it's supposed to be. Well, I spent yesterday cutting 15 flag blanks, forgetting that I was going to use that philosophy where I would cut, like there's a Peru flag, there's a Mexico flag, there's many flags that have many colors, and I was going to cut them into individual pieces, paint them, and then glue them back together like a glue up with biscuits and stuff. And I didn't do that. I just cut them at the finished size. So
you didn't add the curve.
Right. Now they'll be 1/4 inch too small, which I can't do for the customer because that's not what she ordered.
No.
So what I'm going to do is I've already sanded them all down. After we're done here recording, I got to run to Home Depot and grab some sanding sealer. I'm going to seal both sides twice with sanding sealer, sand it back down. Then I'll tape it off.
Right.
And I'll paint. And then I'll let the paint, whatever part I'm taping off, I'll let that paint dry for like a week because I gave myself 4 to 6 weeks to get this done. So then when I go to paint the next color, I can tape over the paint that's already painted, and hopefully when I pull the tape off, it doesn't pull paint off, and I get crisp lines.
Are you using blue or
Well,
green
I'm going to
tape?
use. Actually, I have 2 different types, blue and purple, because 3M, the painter's tape, 3M, they make a purple tape which doesn't adhere as much, or pulls less off, but it's still. And then at Workbench Con, X Fasten brand, they had a booth there. They have unbelievable double-sided tape, which is the strongest I've ever seen. But they also have a painter's tape, and they gave me 8 rolls. So I'm gonna try it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll try their paint tape first, because if it's as good as their double-sided tape, it might work pretty good. But I think the trick is sanding sealer first to seal the wood, and then I'll prime it with a primer, and then let that dry for a couple days, and then I'll tape it off and paint, and then I'll let that dry for a week, and then I'll tape over the painted part and paint the third color or the second color, whatever the hell it is. So I got that going on. And then Friday, my days are all screwed up too, because Friday I had a camera shoved up my ass. It was not a date that I was looking forward to.
Did he buy you dinner
No
first?
dinner. So I had to have a colon.
Did you file a report?
I did not file a report. I'm ashamed. Rape's no laughing matter. But I did go for a colonoscopy. And so my days are off a little bit. And they said on Friday, don't go home, and you can't go home and do stuff today, because I was sedated and all that other stuff. I had this female anesthesiologist. I'm so proud that I can actually say that word without.
That is impressive.
She had to be the most beautiful Indian doctor I'd ever seen. She's stunning.
Wow.
And so I'm in the room. They bring me into the procedure room, and they get me to lay on my left side, which is good because I had shoulder surgery on my right side. I wouldn't have been able to lay on that side. So then they position my legs, so they can violate me properly. And she's like, I'm just looking at her. She puts the IV in, and I said, how long is this going to take? And she said, you'll be asleep in 15 seconds. I said, okay, no, I won't. She goes, start counting. Start counting if you want. And then I said, well, how will I feel it? Because when I've had MRIs and they put a dye in you, this warmth goes over your body, I said, well,
like a wave.
Right. I said, well, I feel that. And she said, no, you'll feel a burning sensation. And right away I thought of you. And I'm like, all right, well, I still don't feel that. Now, this is how many seconds since she said I'd be asleep in 15 seconds, I'm still talking with her. And I'm not counting because I thought she's full of shit. And then I go, man, this IV's in wrong, because it's really starting to hurt. And she said, that's the burning. And then I went, oh, boom. And I was out. I didn't even get to respond. And I woke up later in the recovery room. I'm like, God darn it. Anyways, so.
And you were missing a kidney.
I was missing a kidney. I woke up in a tub of ice. So my point was, while I was going through all of that, another person reached out to me on Etsy. And I got this woman she's getting married. So congratulations to her.
Yay,
right?
congratulations.
Or whatever. So what they were thinking is they want to do a wooden guest book board, right?
Oh, nice.
So her first thought was she saw my Chicago Blackhawks flag that I have listed on Etsy. They're big Chicago Blackhawks fans. So on my Etsy page or on my website at morazzowoodworking.com, you can find sports flags. And the Blackhawks one I made for a very good friend of mine, my buddy Sean. And it's got 6 Stanley Cups on it that are raised up off the flag. And it says 6-time world champions. It's got the dates of all the years that they won the Stanley Cup. And she saw this flag and said, hey, we're getting married. We want a guest book with the Blackhawks head on it, but we don't want the stripes. And I said, so you don't want a flag, you want a sign or a board, right? A board.
Yeah, essentially.
So she said, yeah. So she gave me some measurements, and I'm trying to think of, all right. And I also had the C's with the Tomahawk logos on there, and she wanted them at the time on there. And then I asked her, you know, you have so many questions when you're going over with a new client, like what size, what kind of wood, what, I mean, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just hammering her with these questions and stuff. And then finally she comes back and says, we want it 42 inches by 36, and which is huge. We want the Blackhawks head to be directly in the center, but we want it to be 1 foot by 1 foot, 12 by 12 in the middle. Don't worry about the C's and Tomahawks. And we want it to be just natural finish. And I asked her, do you want it filled with paint or epoxy? Because that'd be cool. And she said, no, just naturally engraved. And she's thinking that she wants it to be burned, which I don't think I'm going to be a fan of that, but whatever. Customer's always right. So I have to do a mock-up of, I'll do a small one, like the size of one of these small flags. And I'll do the Indian head in it. I'll burn it. I'll burn it first, then do the Indian head in it, and then send it to her. And I asked her, does she want a chamfer edge? Does she want a rounded edge? Does she want this a square? She just want the square edges with hanging hardware on the back, and I have to seal it so their guests can sign it with a Sharpie. And then I suggested to her that after that's done, they clear coat it with a spray of some sort, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working on a quote for that. The flag I sell for $300. And it's a weird time that this actually came to my attention, because the flag that I made for my friend Sean, he bought 3 flags from me. He lived in Chicago, right by Sox Park. He had he bought a Bridgeport, Chicago. Bridgeport's the name of the part of the city where the White Sox are located. So he bought a Chicago flag, but it has Bridgeport on top of it and Chicago on the bottom. It was one of my coolest flags I've ever done. Big one, 20 by 40, I think it was.
Nice.
Then he bought a White Sox flag with Paul Konerko on it, who played for the Sox, with his number and then he bought this Blackhawks flag. Well, when this woman messaged me, it reminded me of Sean, who's been having some health issues. And then my brother texted me yesterday on Saturday. We're recording this on Sunday. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way.
Yes.
And which is another oddity. So Sean's Irish, Sean McGoughlin. And so my brother, my brother Rick texted me yesterday and told me that Sean had just passed away. And I'm like, what? I know he was having some heart problems, and he was a building crane operator. So the high rises that they build in the city, he's at the top of that crane. He would send me text messages with pictures from under his feet, thousands of feet down. You know what I mean? He'd be on top of the John Hancock building in a crane or around there, and just sending me pictures of what's below him. And I'm like, you're nuts, dude. You get up on that crane like that? I don't know how you do it. But he hasn't been able to work for a couple of years because he's having horrible heart problems. So anyways, Sean just passed away. And at the same time he passed away,
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. This woman reaches out to me about the flag that I made for him. You know what I mean? It's just all kind of.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm working on a quote for her.
Wow.
It's bigger than the flag. So what I think I'm going to do is take the base price of the flag. I'll find out how much bigger percentage wise this board is than the flag, and I'll just add that percentage to the price. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Because if it's 13% bigger, I'll add 13% to the price, right? Okay. So I just want to be fair to the customer. The second thing is Etsy. So I keep hearing that, oh my God, Etsy with all their fees. And I'm like, well, I haven't really, I pay 20 cents a listing, whatever the hell the listing costs are, I pay it. And that's not really, if I sell one thing, it pays for the listing for months, all that kind of stuff. What I didn't realize, because the things I sell on Etsy are usually one piece at a time. So this woman bought 15 flags from me from Etsy, which was over $1,100. And then they do the taxes.
Right.
Well, they deposited my share. They took like almost $300 out. I'm like, what? So, I need to start directing people to my website that come to me from Etsy. Yes. I'll say, I'll make a listing on my website, go there, buy it there. They still get protection for purchases and stuff. And I don't get hammered with whatever that was, because
Right.
What the heck? I even gave her a 20% discount on the large flag order because she was ordering so many. So not only was I giving a discount, then Etsy took their fees, and I'm probably out 40% of what I should have made. But anyways.
So Etsy is the one that did the colonoscopy for you.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Right on. Wow. So that's what I got going on in my shop. I'm doing these 15 flags. I got this Blackhawks huge thing I have to make a mock-up of. I got to do it within the week. So I'll probably be down in the shop every day after work. I don't have physical therapy this week because my therapist is on vacation. So I can get the extra time in the shop to do this mock-up and stuff.
Are you still doing your exercises at home?
Every day except yesterday because, yesterday was in the shop. We did a test record, and then I was working in the shop and had to get ready to go to the 80s party. So I didn't do them yesterday. But, they take me an hour to do. So I do it every day.
Very, very proud of you for the progress you've made.
Thanks,
with
man.
that, bro.
It's been rough, but and all good, in due time, I'll be able to throw a ball here and there and all that kind of stuff. So, so yesterday I burned the wood for the big flag, and I have to wipe that down, and I'll probably maybe get to that today, cutting the stripes out because I have to edit the podcast, so it'll take me a couple hours to do all this stuff. So other than that, those are the main things I'm working on in my shop. Just trying to get stuff done before May when I head out to Idaho for 6 weeks, and then because I won't be taking orders or doing anything like that. So I'll be and I would like, if anyone has any ideas on how to transition from Etsy and drive traffic to my website. I know when I retire, I'll have to do a lot more work on my website, and I'll have time to do like research on how to do SEO stuff and how to draw more traffic. And maybe at some point I can start making more money and start paying someone to drive more traffic. I don't know how that works.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'll need a banner for the website on my truck, I think would help. So anyways.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. Because my experience with Etsy has been kind of like the opposite. Okay. Like I put a bunch of stuff up there. I started, when my time in the shop, was cut way down because of my mobility issues. Plus, winter. Right. I started doing more and more on the laser. And one of the things I was doing was just cutting out shapes, basically, for people that want to DIY, maybe crafters, scrapbookers, whatever. And I had small sales here and there, But I put up, I don't know how many listings on Etsy of all these different shapes, animals and bells, and you name it, just random shapes. And then I had other listings on there for PTO. Print to order.
Okay. Not pay time off.
Like T-shirts. Okay. No. Or power takeoff. No. Print to order, like T-shirts, ball caps, things like that with my logo on it. And then other things I had on there was like, I think I showed it to you. The
Christmas thing?
Oh, come on. No, when people are making wooden flags and they want to use actual little stars and glue them on the Union, but I made
a
templates that you would lay on the Union, and you could just put the stars in there and it would have them perfectly aligned, and you could, fasten the stars. So I offered both the stars laser cut out, and the template that you could just lay down there. Out of all these things, I made 2 sales on Etsy, 1 ball cap and 1 T-shirt. That's it.
That's awesome.
That's the only sales I've ever had on Etsy. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, first of all, I'm an old fart. I don't get all the technological stuff.
You just shut off your camera, by the way.
There
you go.
Sorry.
Talk about old farts and technological problems, and you knocked your camera out.
Yeah,
right on
all
time.
Of a sudden.
Way to go.
It was weird. I just got a warning that there was water in my charging port.
Okay.
There's no water.
Right. Okay.
So.
See you
anyway, that's got to be it. So, what was I saying?
Oh yeah, you
Sales on
you sold a
Etsy.
hat and a shirt.
Yeah, I sold a hat and a shirt. That was it. What I was getting to is I don't understand the whole SEO
Right.
optimization, whatever. I put tags in
Hmm.
there. I put, everything shy of Groku waving
Right. Yeah.
flags, you know, um, and no sales, no traffic, whatever. And that's been my biggest downfall is just trying to get
Okay.
sales. So after hearing, how they pretty much accosted
Right.
you with your sale, I'm thinking, you know what? I need to work with people, maybe you, maybe some others as well, and come up with a way that we can help each other promote our individual
Right.
websites. Um, whether it's listing them on Instagram, listing them on our business Facebook pages, personal Facebook
Right.
pages, whatever, just to try and get traffic. Because that's the one thing that Etsy does have
Right. Yeah.
is they have the ability to bring
Right.
traffic, but they also want to
Yeah. So I think
really take it to
for
the
the
cleaners.
small things, I don't mind still doing it on Etsy because I don't really charge much. For a large order like that, again, I'm just going to have the people go to my website and order it on my website because I asked them for an email because I'd
Right.
rather speak to them directly from email purposes, not through the Etsy app. And then they send me that, and then we
Right.
talk via email. Then I can direct them over to the website, and then they still get buyer protection. And then I know I get someone who's not a scammer, like the guy who wanted me to build him a table last year and sent me a check for $11,000 and said keep the change. And I'm like in my uniform, holding the check up, flipping off the camera, saying you just tried to scam a cop.
Right.
So we each get protected, and then maybe that. And I also from Workbench Con, I started an email list on my website, or I reached out to friends and family. It'll be 2 years in May that I asked. I'm going to be doing a newsletter on my website. Would you like to subscribe? Yes or no? Fine, either way. I had about,
Yeah.
I think 100 people said yes. I haven't written one blog, but because I haven't had time.
Right.
So
Right.
I also learned at Workbench Con, one of the couples that did a presentation was they stopped making stuff in mass and putting it on their website to where instead of having all these different things, they'd say, we're making this. It's a one-off. They would send out the newsletter to everyone that subscribes to their website. This is going on sale tomorrow.
Right.
This is the only one we have. We're not making any more. And to start driving sales. So then people are always waiting, when's the next one coming? So instead of putting all my work
Right.
up there, I don't know, maybe I make a one-off because I have a lot of ideas in my head that I'm going to start making, but it won't be to put it won't be to post it on Etsy and say you can order one of these. No. It's going to be on my website. Buy it now. There's only one. I'm not making it again. I'm going to try that theory and see if that works for sales. Once I start putting out the emails, the email newsletters.
Right.
So, but Etsy's good because people say, I need something that's handmade and has to do something with Superman. Etsy, oh, Superman. Then my bottle opener pops up. I've sold a few of those. So
Right.
that's how people find me. They're not going to my website for that. I don't know how to do it. I haven't done the search engine optimization. So it'll be a trial and error for the next, year or two, trying to get the website where I actually have customers coming to me via the website and not on Etsy. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
With that,
and I need to.
we'll figure it out.
I need to.
Yeah.
Do a website
We should
as well.
brainstorm, and if anybody has any ideas on any of this stuff, please just drop us a comment. You can leave comments on the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
you can email me at handcuffs&sawdustpodcast@gmail.com. Email Don at don.doncann.com, right?
Done.
Is that it?
No.
It's not even close.
That's all right.
Don, where can people reach
for
you?
Business purpose? For business purposes, you can reach me. This is all one word, the Dysfunctional Woodworker at gmail.com.
Okay. Now, what if they want to, if they can ask you questions or stuff, that's it. That's where they'll email you. Okay.
They can email me there, or they can hit me up on my Facebook business page, which I just sent you a link to. And speaking of which, one other little plug, if I may, real quick. I do have a group that I started from the Dysfunctional Woodworker business page, which is called Dysfunction Junction. And this morning at, I think it was 07:30 my time, we started a flag raffle.
Oh.
So what I'm offering is one of the full-size flags. There are pictures of many samples. If people join the group, Dysfunction Junction, you'll see pictures of all kinds of different samples of the flags. Cool. Average price, ballpark, $300-ish. But I started the flag raffle. One entry is $5. You can get 3 entries for 13. I'm sorry. The links are all in the post, and it'll take 25 entrants before we can spin, but it's going to run until midnight Eastern time on Easter.
Okay.
Or if we get 50 entrants, whichever happens first.
Okay. It closes.
Yeah. Then we'll spin for the winner. So for all intents and purposes, you could get a $300+ flag
for $13
or $5 if
yeah.
you just get a single entry, or 13 if you want 3 entries.
Cool. Thanks. So
and that does include shipping to the lower 48.
I'll put that in the links also. Where did you send me that info?
Woo-hoo!
Not via text, because I haven't received it.
No, because my phone is right here.
I'm using it to record.
And so I sent it to you on Facebook Messenger.
I see.
Along with the link for Ferocious Fighters.
Thank you. So last week, I want to apologize to our listeners because Dylan and I did not do any law enforcement stuff. I didn't read the names of the officers who've been killed in the line of duty this year, and I felt bad because that's what I do. I need these guys to be females, women and men of law enforcement to be recognized. So
yes,
I'm going to do that because we're done with our woodworking portion. I don't have any law enforcement stories to share at the moment. So
you mean you didn't get wigwags and put it in an Uber to chase somebody down?
I have a lot of stories saved up, but I have to save them for Brandon. So yeah.
Okay. I got you.
You know, more as he's a police officer. Or I will be having some other guests on that are cops, so we will do some of this sharing of stories then.
Sure.
So we're gonna start the law enforcement memorial officer down thing, and Don's gonna do the canines when I'm done with the officers, and I'm not gonna say how they passed away. I will say I won't give the full details. I'm gonna give their name, the department, end of watch, and then how they died. And so you guys that want to go and see more about these heroes, you can go to odmp.org. And when you go there, you can see there's a Fallen Heroes tab, and you can find them that way to this year's current honor roll. They call it an honor roll. All right. So we're going to do that. All right. From the Stone County Sheriff's Office in Arkansas, Deputy Sheriff Justin Smith. Deputy Smith's end of watch was Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, from gunfire. From the Coweta County Sheriff's Office in Georgia, Deputy Sheriff Eric Anthony Minix. His end of watch was Thursday, January 4th, 2024. He was struck by a vehicle. From the George County Sheriff's Office in Mississippi, Deputy Sheriff Jeremy Malone. His end of watch was Thursday, January 4th, 2024, from gunfire. From the New York State Environmental Conservation Police in New York, Lieutenant David J. McShane, whose end of watch was Monday, January 22nd, 2024, from 9/11 related illnesses. From the Michigan State Police Department in Michigan, Trooper Joel Pop. Trooper Pop's end of watch was Wednesday, January 24th, 2024, when he was struck by a vehicle. From the Elizabeth Police Department in New Jersey, Sergeant Michael Zini Curazini. His end of watch was Saturday, January 27th, 2024, from 9/11 related illnesses. From the Georgia State Patrol in Georgia, Trooper Jeremy Seneskar. Trooper Seneskar's end of watch was Sunday, January 28th, 2024, from an automobile crash. From the Florida Highway Patrol, Trooper Zachary Fink. Trooper Fink's end of watch was Friday, February 2nd, 2024, from an automobile crash. From the Moody County Sheriff's Office in South Dakota, Chief Deputy Sheriff Ken Prorock. His end of watch was Friday, February 2nd, 2024, when he was struck by a vehicle. From the Crawford County Sheriff's Office in Georgia, Deputy Sheriff Timothy Tavares Rivers. Deputy Rivers' end of watch was Tuesday, February 6, 2024, from an automobile crash. From the Harnett County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina, Deputy Sheriff Christopher Johnson. Deputy Johnson's end of watch was Tuesday, February 6, 2024, from an automobile crash. From the Blount County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee, Deputy Sheriff Greg McCowan, whose end of watch was Thursday, February 8th, 2024, from gunfire. From the Harris County Sheriff's Office in Texas, Deputy Sheriff Ronald Bates. Deputy Bates' end of watch was Saturday, February 10th, 2024, from an automobile crash. From the Las Cruces Police Department in New Mexico, Patrol Officer Jonah Hernandez, whose end of watch was Sunday, February 11th, 2024. His cause of death was stabbing. From the Sheridan Police Department in Wyoming, Sergeant Nevada Krinke, whose end of watch was Tuesday, February 13th, 2024, from gunfire. From the Meigs County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee, Deputy Sheriff Robert John Leonard, whose end of watch was Wednesday, February 14th, 2024. His cause of death was drowning. From the Burnsville Police Department in Minnesota, Police Officer Paul Elmstrand, whose end of watch was Sunday, February 18th, 2024, from gunfire. Also from the Burnsville Police Department in Minnesota, Police Officer Matthew Hankey Rouget, end of watch Sunday, February 18th, 2024, from gunfire. From the Georgia State Patrol, Trooper First Class Chase Winston Redner, whose end of watch was Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, when he was struck by a vehicle. From the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office in Texas, Deputy Sheriff Charles Rivette, whose end of watch was Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, from an automobile crash. From the Knoxville Police Department in Tennessee, Police Officer Wise Benz Antone, whose end of watch was Sunday, February 25th, 2024, from a drug-related illness. From the Independence Police Department in Missouri, Officer Cody Allen, whose end of watch was Thursday, February 29th, 2024, from gunfire. From the Washington State Patrol in Washington, Trooper Christopher M. Gadd, whose end of watch was Saturday, March 2nd, 2024, from an automobile crash. From the United States Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Protection, United States Border Patrol, is Border Patrol Agent Christopher Luna, whose end of watch was Friday, March 8th, 2024, from an aircraft accident. From the Genesee County Sheriff's Office in New York, Sergeant Thomas A. Sanfratello, whose end of watch was Sunday, March 10th, 2024. Cause of death was assault. And from the New Mexico State Police, Patrolman Justin Hare, whose end of watch was Friday, March 15th, 2024, from gunfire.
Man, that is entirely too many.
Amen.
From the Rockford Police Department in Illinois, K9 Nix. End of watch was Sunday, January 28th of 2024. And the cause was gunfire. From the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources Law Enforcement Section in West Virginia, K9 Mays. End of watch was Thursday, February 1st, 2024, and cause of death was a training accident. From the Marion County Sheriff's Office in Florida is K9 Leo. End of watch was Tuesday, February 20th of 2024. Cause of death was gunfire. From the DeSoto County Sheriff's Office in Missouri, K9 Luca. End of watch was Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. Cause of death was also gunfire. And lastly, from the Tomah Police Department in Wisconsin, K9 Raiden, whose end of watch was Monday, March 4th, 2024, and cause of death was struck by a vehicle.
Well, our hearts and prayers go out to all the families of the fallen officers.
Amen.
You know, law enforcement is a tough job, as everyone knows. It's so hard right now, Don, to get applicants. We're currently hiring 3 more at our police department because myself and my buddy Frank are retiring, and they need to fill those spots, and we've been short. So what used to happen back in the day when I was testing back in the 90s, you get your application. There's numerous steps, right? You get an application. That's the first step. You pay for your application. Second step is you have to go to what's called an orientation, where you go with every applicant, and the chief of police speaks, and the board of police and fire commissioners speak, and they tell you what the job's about. And normally we had anywhere from 300 to 500 applicants when I was applying for jobs. So they'd say, there's one opening, and 500 people would just look at each other like, damn. I mean, it's literally, that's how it was all the way. And when I got hired 2 years into me being a police officer, my chief came to me and said, we'd like you to start speaking at our orientations, because I entered law enforcement at an older age for being a police officer. Normally you're 21. I was 33 when I came in. I had a family. I had worked in the private sector. I had a lot of life experience already. So my chief said, we'd like you to speak at these orientations so you can tell these applicants what it's like to go from the private sector to law enforcement. And then they ended up having my wife speak at the, she would tell her stories, what it's like to be married to a police officer. And we would speak in front of 300 to 500 people that were looking to get a job. And sometimes we weren't hiring. Every department has to establish an eligibility list every 2 years. And you test once, and that list is good for 2 years, and you'd have 60 people on that list. And then you start working your way through. If you're going to hire somebody, you go to number 1, blah, blah, blah. Well, now we're lucky if we get 20 people to test. They've tested 3 times this year in the last 6 months alone. 3 times, 3 tests, where you get 5 or 6 people that actually end up on the list. And then they wash out either because of the background check or they take a job somewhere else, and you ended up with 2 people left. So it's been really difficult to get a job in law enforcement now. Well, it's not real difficult to get a job in law enforcement now because we don't have as many people are applying for the job as we used to. Especially in 2008, we had almost 600 applicants in 2008 because of the economy was just horrible and people needed a job. And I remember telling these people, I was looking at a room of 600 people, and I'm like, if some of you want to be truck drivers or carpenters or plumbers, but you came here because you need a job, just get up and leave. Because this is not a field of work that you can just do And the reason why is because of the names I just read you. You're
Yeah.
going to work every
Yeah.
day. And you might not see your family. That's it. You walk out the door, say, love you, honey. Kiss your kids. Goodbye. And then some person decides that you're not
Right.
going to go home that day. So every time we
Right.
do this, it gets harder, you know. And I
Sure.
feel for these families and the departments because everyone in the department is a family. So thank you for partaking and doing the canines for me. That's usually Brandon does that. And I appreciate you sharing.
course.
And I know you're a huge backer of law enforcement, and it means a
Oh,
lot
yes.
to us in the law enforcement community. So with that said, and we brought everybody down.
Yeah. Now that we all want to go slit our wrist with a rusty spoon.
Right. Speaking of spoons, and
Oh, no.
I got a spoon story.
Okay.
The last neighborhood we lived in, we had fantastic neighbors like we do here, but my kids became great friends with the neighbors 2 doors down. And one of the kids is named Camille. So Camille was over one morning. We were sitting around the breakfast table and we're all eating. And then I was eating cereal and I had a spoon and I looked at Camille and I said, I once killed a man in prison with a spoon. And she's like, really? I'm like, no, not really. I've never been in prison, but I could kill someone with a spoon. She's like, how? I go, stab him right in the neck with a spoon. I don't know. That's how you kill someone with a spoon. But anyways, God bless Cammy for not being all there. All right,
That immediately took me to John Wick with the pencil in the bar.
Or not just John Wick, but the Joker with the pencil. You want to see me do a magic trick?
Oh, yeah. Make the pencil disappear.
Ta-da.
Yeah. Ta-da.
Anyways, Don, thank you very much for joining me this week. It's been
Thank you for having me
an
here.
absolute pleasure, man. Thank you for also sharing your story about craps. I call it craps.
Yeah, that's what I've been calling it now. Is it's CRPS, but I put an A in there. It is craps.
So,
yeah,
I think it's a very important message for people and a story that needed to be heard. So, thank you for sharing.
indeed.
And Don has told you where you can meet him, reach out to him if you need to on his Facebook business page. And I will put links in the description below on YouTube and in the podcast description as well. However you're consuming our podcast, you will be able to find the links for everything that we've spoken about today.
Anything you want.
Anything. Thank you to our sponsors at Surf Prep Sanding.
Surf Prep.
Thank you for not thinking this thing behind me is a Tribble from Star Trek or some type of hairy monster that's on my bench. It was on my head, and I'm looking at it in the background, and I'm like, that doesn't look good there.
If it starts wiggling around, you're going to have to smack it with something. You should put it on Grogu. Oh, there we go. We don't think alike at all.
There. All right. Grogu's got the mullet on.
No, he just needs sunglasses. He'll be good to go.
Yeah, I'll get him some glasses. We'll see what we can do about that. And maybe he'll have them next week. That's the out music. The producer said it's time to end the show.
They know where I'm at.
Do you have anything to say, Don?
I do. Grace, peace, God bless. Make sure you subscribe. Mike, thank you so much. I love you, brother.
Love you too, brother. Stay safe in the streets and in the shop. Peace.
Peace.